Hey everybody, Chance from Aquascape. Today I'm going to show you how I propagate out Bacopa salzmannii. This plant is in the Plantagenisa family, same as gradiola and a few others. Basically, it's a stem plant, vascular plant, so treated pretty much the same way you would in an aquarium. Always look for new growth coming out of the nodes. If you look very closely where the leaves actually leave the stem, you can see that there are there's going to be new growth coming out of these nodes, new growth or inflorescence flowers. But right here at this node there's new growth, so I snip it. I have a little bin of water here. I just toss it in there to keep the stem hydrated, and I take some cuttings all the way through the bin. If you don't see new growth, that's okay. Bacopa is pretty weedy. Trimming it will cause whatever node you leave off at to be a termination point, and it'll cause its own new growth. But trimming it where the new growth is already at, like if you see there, you can see there. You can. There is a little new head coming off of there, so that's where I snipped it. You want to try to get low too, because wherever you're trimming it now is going to be essentially the base of the new growth of your plant. This bin here is going to be my forever bin. I don't plan on tossing this bin or resetting it after this. The bottoms are going to stay in here and regrow. Then I will switch to this bin, and once I get this bin fully grown in, I'll begin sale of this plant on the website. So getting there, getting things all back to order. Bacopa salzmannii, what's interesting, this is the Singapore variant, or the SG variant, as you see it on social media and stuff like that. But what's interesting, Singapore, from what I know, doesn't have any Bacopa species in it, and Bacopa salzmannii originates from everywhere from south of Mexico all the way to Paraguay, is where it's found, where it's been documented of being found. So there's never been Bacopa salzmannii, actually documented being located in the old world, in the Asian continent. So it's weird. I'm not sure where this variant came from. My guess is somebody in China or Singapore imported some plants from South America, and then this is where it came from, or it was a greenhouse cultivar that just happened to be very purple, some seed variant of a regular Bacopa salzmannii that turned out to be extremely purple, and then was well propagated out after that by various horticulturalists and stuff. But that's what's awesome about the hobby, is it's using all of our resources to take a plant that wasn't even known 3 or 4 years ago and make it something big, make it into something that has billions of copies of itself. This plant came from a single seed or one stem or whatever originally, and now there's how many people have millions of stems of this plant? And that same attitude can be used as a tool for conservation in the hobby. Basically, if you look at the world today in traditional land conservation, that's failing. You can have a government set up, X amount of hectares of land as a preserve, not to be developed or not to be built on. But then a few years later, a new leader comes in and decides, well, we don't need that much land to preserve. We can do without that much land. We'll just go ahead and we'll shorten it down to this much land. And then they go ahead and bulldoze, half or more than half or whatever, or all of what that preserved land was. I grew up in Florida, and I see it all the time with these places that are labeled preserves and stuff. Sorry, I had to take a drink. Throat was getting dry. That are labeled preserves and have special treatment and are taken care of for a little bit, and then a few years later they're housing developments or a shopping mall. There's actually an Indian burial ground, or Indian shell mound rather, not a burial ground, Indian shell mound that was in Wellington, Florida, that is now actually the Wellington Green Mall. So it's crazy, you know, that was preserved land for a very, very long time, and then developer came in and bid really high, and now it's a shopping mall. So I mean, we as humans obviously can't do the land conservation thing very well. So using our hobby, using all of these wonderful hobbyists that are so interested in growing these plants in the first place as tools of conservation. So, you know, Bucephalandra out of Borneo, I guarantee that we have multiple species in circulation in our hobby right now that don't exist in the wild anymore. And the only place that anybody's ever going to find or see these species of Bucephalandra are going to be in somebody's aquarium. There's probably a few stem plants like that. There's probably a few species of Ireo like that, or Signanthus. And that's all because, you know, we like to build. And, you know, we're not going to stop that. We're not going to stop developing. But what we can do to make a difference is get as much of these stems, as much as these plants in rotation in our hobby, and keep them in our hobby. Keep them in rotation. Keep them growing. You know, just because they may not be a viable tool for aquascaping or a viable plant for aquascaping. I hear that so much. It's like, oh, that's not a good plant for aquascaping. Leaves are too big. Its color's too flashy. Okay, that's wonderful, but I'm still gonna grow it. You know, I'm still gonna grow it. Still gonna do my thing with it. Somebody someday will use it, or, you know, attitude will change and big leaves will become sexy again. Who knows? But I look at it and I come at this and why I do what I do and why I grow all these plants isn't just because I like the way they look underwater. It's because I grew up watching so many areas, as I said before, get destroyed. So many places that I used to basically go hang out in and exist in and kind of center myself in as a kid without even realizing I was centering myself. They were destroyed, and all the plants that were there, all the, you know, life that was there. You know, I was a naturey kid, so I was always down looking at plants and mud and all the frogs and everything like that I used to bring home. So yeah, I come at this, I do this, and my purpose of doing this is from a place of conservation, a place of, I truly love these plants. I truly want to see others enjoy them, and I don't want to see them just go extinct. I don't want to see them get destroyed in any shape, way, or form. Even the ones that are in TC I like to grow out. So just keep them going. Anyway, I digress. So now that I have all the cuttings, let me fix this zoom here. You guys have been staring at that as I talk. It's kind of funny. All right, so now that I have all my cuttings here, lots of cuttings, I take them and I put them into, adjust my tripod here. All right, now that I got the tripod adjusted, so I take my cuttings that I have here, and just like I said, just like any stem plant in an aquarium, I plant them down probably about 1.5 to 2 inches into the substrate, into my soil mix here. And this is just my regular soil mix. I have a link to, or I have a video of it on my channel, same soil mix that I'm using. I'm just not capping it with safety zorb anymore. I have the safety zorb mixed in there, but I'm not doing the capping process anymore. I'm just kind of seeing where it goes without it. So far it's doing all right. I don't believe capping it was necessary anymore. Before it was mainly as like a indicator for me to tell when I needed to water, and I had a theory that it may have helped with mold, but I've come to find that it actually inhibits growth of other molds and stuff that I'm not very fond of, so went ahead and did away with it. You can continue to do what you want with it. If you're still following that method, that's fine, and you're having success with it, that's great, whatever, it's perfect. But I've deviated a bit from my original method. So, staying uniform, because these stems are going to grow out and up and crazy over and fall everywhere. So if you start them somewhat uniform, you have a better idea of where the base of the stems are if you let your bin overgrow a bit. Alright. Starting to get kind of hot in here. We actually just had a cool front come in yesterday, like one of the late year cool fronts for us. Got a little bit of weather and stuff. It was nice. Weather temp outside right now is like 72-ish, around there. Temp in here in the greenhouse is like 80 something. Really high humidity. I don't know. I haven't checked the temperature yet. Not something I do every day. When there's extreme fluctuations and stuff like that, like I said, we just had a cold front. There's nothing I can do about it. So checking the temperature is a little bit irrelevant. I shouldn't say that. Obsessing over the temperature is a little bit irrelevant. Checking the temperature. Shouldn't obsess. Nothing you can do. Unless you have high-tech greenhouse where you're temperature controlled, humidity controlled, and all that fun stuff. If you got that going, then you've got a little bit more element of control on your side, and then you can obsess. It's better to accept when you don't have the ability to obsess properly. You can obsess properly, heck yeah, obsess away. Play that game. That's not the game I'm playing. I'm coming at it from a very simple standpoint. Eventually, plans, future, there are big things in the future for more so me rather than the whole aquascape. But aquascape has its own big things too. Lots of cool things coming to fruition. So I just keep planting. So how I mentioned that these Bacopas in the same family as Gradiola, you can treat Gradiola the same way you do Bacopa as far as emerse cultivation goes. So Gradiola ramosa, which is right next door here, you can't see it over here, but I treat it the same way when I'm planting it and doing things. So these extra stems that I have left over after I've done this full row, I'm just going to kind of come in through here and plug a few in the middle of the stuff here. Again, trying to keep it uniform. If I plug one in the middle over there in that row, I'll plug one in the middle in this row. It just makes trimming easier for me. You can have your own system. Rules for my game. One more. Oh, I lied. This is the last one. So Bacopa is a really wet plant. What I mean by that is, like, whenever I find Bacopa, it's like growing in a really marshy areas, or straight up just in the water. So try to replicate that when you first propagate it out. Basically, more water than you normally would. And that goes with the whole family, basically. Yeah, that whole family likes a lot of water. So after I have it set up, I just mist it, get it all misted, and yeah, that's that. And when I go through, I water the bottoms again. You just go ahead and so yeah. After everything's all snipped up, I go ahead and I'll re-water the bottoms here, just to make sure that they have enough water. Like I said, this whole family likes a lot of water, and they drink a lot of water, so make sure you provide that for them, especially when you first cut them like this. Like I said, always, I don't do standing water. Standing water causes issues, causes a lot of various molds and algae to start to grow in your setup. Then you're just fighting other battles that aren't really worth it. So yeah, all this will start to grow. I'll propagate off from it and make another large bin like this of it, just to ensure I don't do what I always do and sell out of my stock. And I repeat this process with the Rotala and OCRs and all the Starigens and Ludwigias that I have, just to keep enough of them. You know, for Cryptocoryans, I've already been on this process for a while. I was lucky enough not to lose a lot of crypts, and then also very fortunate enough to get a whole bunch of very nice crypts in from a good buddy of mine. So, yeah. But I hope you all enjoyed that. This is Bacopa salzmannii, there we are, propagation. Enjoy, guys.